we kind of put our trust in and turn to represent us as the players. And, I have open dialect with them. I can't say I've been on every single CBA call that's been open to the players. It just conflicts with everybody's schedule. That's impossible when there's 144 players. You can't line up a call that is going to work for every single person. So you have to be very intentional. And if you have questions, you can reach out to those people. And there's certainly been people that I've reached out to and had communication with. So I think you just rely on that and rely on the people that are in those positions that you trust them and they're going to do the best representing the entire group.
Deep inside the cutthroat, 10-figure realm of high-stakes corporate messaging, exists a mythological survival maneuver deployed strictly by the most ruthless chief executives on Earth. The industry labels it plausible deniability, meaning that when a titan of industry begins to spontaneously combust and the directors start devouring one another, and an earth-shattering brand apocalypse becomes completely inevitable, the sharpest mind in the boardroom never reaches for a water hose. Instead, that visionary quietly slips out the back door, finds a safe vantage point across the avenue, and tells reporters with a straight face that they never smelled any smoke. For the last 17 months, the Women's National Basketball Association's player union has mirrored a hijacked locomotive dripping in jet fuel. Long-tenured voices at the top have absolutely butchered their latest labor treaty discussions. Second-in-commands are sneaking rebellious manifestos to journalists, while power-hungry representatives plot aggressive takeovers. Now, the whole association is staring straight into the abyss of a catastrophic, indefinite labor freeze approaching on March 10th. The sheer volume of venom, chaos, and absolute panic radiating from the player base is enough to shatter glass. Yet, right in the middle of this bloody corporate war zone, the most historically lucrative figure ever to touch a basketball walked up to a podium in South Florida. What Caitlin Clark showcased was a downright clinic in dodging corporate shrapnel, utterly refusing to play champion for the union. She equally declined to throw punches at the billionaire shot callers. Instead, she pulled off a flawless, surgical extraction, lifting her multi-million-dollar name completely out of the radioactive crater of this labor war. So grab your snacks, because we are diving deep. We are about to strip down the mesmerizing psychological warfare woven into her latest press conference. We are going to dissect the frighteningly brilliant way she emotionally disconnected while uncovering the intense physical transformation she underwent behind closed doors. Moreover, we will map out exactly how she is silently positioning herself for total global dominance, leaving the established veterans to squabble over pennies. To completely comprehend the terrifyingly brilliant thing this superstar just pulled off, you need to scrutinize her specific choice of words. You must pay attention to the way she meticulously builds an impenetrable, bulletproof shield, separating her massive empire from the sinking ship of the Players Association. Reporters were begging her to become the face of a walkout. They practically demanded she swear an oath of allegiance to the union heads. Their goal was to extract that golden, viral quote that old guard leaders could hurl like a grenade at the billionaire owners. However, this young phenom is no brainwashed foot soldier. She operates as a deeply calculated elite business powerhouse. She fully grasps that the people steering the union ship possess practically zero understanding of high-level economics. She sees clearly that figures like Terry Carmichael Jackson and Nneka Ogwumike have entirely lost their grip on the public storyline. Thus, rather than swallowing their poisonous rhetoric, she simply offered a polite grin, gave a casual shrug, and thoroughly cleansed her hands of the impending disaster. Pay extreme attention to the most staggering, razor-sharp publicity pivot witnessed all winter, as she completely bulletproofs her career against the upcoming work stoppage. Quote, "Keeping an open dialogue with them. I cannot claim I have attended every single collective bargaining call provided for the roster. It simply clashes with everyone's daily agendas, which makes total sense when you factor in 144 athletes. You cannot orchestrate a meeting time that perfectly accommodates that." End quote. And later she repeats, "I cannot claim I have attended every single collective bargaining call provided for the roster. It simply clashes with everyone's daily agendas, which makes total sense when you factor in 144 athletes." Pause the recording right there, because that is pure, unfiltered boardroom mastery. Allow us to decode that polite, media-trained phrasing into cutthroat corporate reality. She is graciously notifying the global press that she has completely muted the association's daily carnival, pinning the blame on packed itineraries. She points the finger at the sheer headcount of the league, but the real meaning beneath her words is blindingly obvious. By openly confessing her absence from those meetings, she is boldly declaring her refusal to join their extremist crusade. From both a legal and public optics standpoint, She is wiping her DNA right off the murder weapon. Should the association trigger a catastrophic season-killing walkout on March 10th, effectively burning bridges with millions of fresh viewers and incinerating a $2.2 billion broadcasting pact? Not a single soul can point the finger at her, because she just broadcasted to the globe that she was never even in the room. She effortlessly transferred the entire crushing weight of that looming failure straight onto the backs of the designated delegates and upper management. Translated simply, her message is, "If you burn this entire empire to ashes, do not look my way. I was busy putting in the work." And grinding in the shadows is exactly her current protocol. While the seasoned pros burn through their winter throwing tantrums on audio shows and bickering with faceless internet trolls, scrambling to salvage a disastrously botched union negotiation plan, Caitlin Clark has ascended to a totally different stratosphere entirely. She gracefully leapfrogged right over the microscopic, toxic squabbles dragging down the league's domestic bubble. No longer trapped inside a petty stateside civil war, she has triumphantly set sail across the global ocean. Right now, the league front office is absolutely petrified. Those billionaire tycoons stand their ground without blinking. Meanwhile, the Players Association is shattering into pieces, with that March 10th cutoff acting like a lit fuse. Yet there stands Clark, untouched and focused, locked inside a heavily guarded, immaculate national squad facility, getting completely dialed in for the upcoming FIBA World Cup qualifying matches. She is currently executing the most brilliant, undisputed power move ever witnessed in the brutal arena of athletic commerce. Hear the pure, unadulterated thrill and profound honor bleeding through her words when she talks about stepping onto the world's court. Pay close attention to the exact reason this worldwide platform transforms her into an invincible titan. Quote, "It is a wildly exclusive group. Therefore, simply participating in these preliminary global rounds is clearly an immense privilege on its own. And honestly, I am fully aware that slipping on that national uniform is going to be profoundly magical. You realize these were the exact squads I idolized as a kid. The absolute legends I worshipped suited up for this specific roster. The whole world understands the immense prestige of representing the USA on its own. Every single person recognizes the sheer glory of having USA stitched right across your heart. Boom. What you just heard is the unmistakable roar of a worldwide phenomenon blasting off into the stratosphere. Those seasoned league veterans are trembling at the mere thought of a work stoppage, simply because they lack any alternative escape routes. Should the domestic league padlock its gymnasiums, those older athletes immediately forfeit their solitary spotlight. Their cultural impact vanishes overnight. Their golden ticket to raking in massive corporate endorsement checks completely evaporates. Clark, however, possesses total immunity to this looming labor crisis. Should the league crumble into dust tomorrow, she effortlessly slips into her red, white, and blue apparel. She casually strides onto the Puerto Rican courts. She ruthlessly dismantles opponents from every corner of the globe. Through it all, she stays firmly planted as the beating heart of the worldwide athletic news machine. The giant broadcasting conglomerates are fully awake to this reality, which explains precisely why TNT Sports ruthlessly swooped in to secure sole television privileges for those upcoming international qualifier matchups. Those executives totally ditched the league's supposed premier off-season tournament due to abysmal viewership numbers, instead dumping their massive fortunes straight into the unstoppable financial vortex that is Caitlin Clark. She is rapidly constructing an empire that spans continents. She is locking down massive commercial partnerships all over the planet. She is actively gearing up to be the undisputed poster child for the upcoming Summer Games squad. She hardly requires the front office to greenlight a pathetic $50,000 bump in the salary cap. Her financial playground exists on a colossal, macroeconomic scale that those seasoned labor chiefs lack the brainpower to even fathom. The Phenom is engaged in a complex game of three-dimensional chess, leaving the confused executive board fumbling just to figure out the basic rules of checkers. Yet, her psychological superiority barely scratches the surface of this unfolding narrative. The pure nightmare fuel for the remainder of the basketball universe hides in what she has been constructing physically throughout her 8-month vanish from the media spotlight. Whenever a transcendent, once-in-a-lifetime prodigy, vanishes into total darkness for that long, they certainly are not kicking their feet up. They absolutely are not lounging on a tropical beach. They are undergoing a ferocious, painstakingly structured biological evolution. Throughout her monumental debut campaign, Clark absorbed a horrifying amount of bodily damage. Opponents relentlessly hunted her. Rivals delivered dirty blows constantly. She survived a completely unmatched barrage of violent aggression orchestrated by the league's old guard. She battled through soul-crushing exhaustion, lingering structural ailments, alongside the terrifying burnout of transitioning flawlessly from the collegiate title game straight into the ruthless professional gauntlet without taking a single breath. Functioning on an entirely depleted physical battery, she miraculously still shattered every solitary statistical milestone ever written down. However, these dormant months handed her the most lethal weapon imaginable: time, the clock required to mend, the hours needed to reconstruct, the exact duration necessary to entirely overhaul her bodily machinery. Pay very close attention to the wildly threatening, bone-chilling alert she just broadcasted to the entire Hoops universe concerning her current form. Hear precisely what kind of monster she has been forging while locked away from the cameras. Quote, "Honestly, above all else, I am just incredibly hyped. I am fully aware of the grueling hours and relentless grind I have invested to guarantee my physique is at peak operational health, aiming to return not merely to a baseline where I feel normal again, but to a level where I am legitimately vastly superior to the version of me that tipped off last year's campaign, and I kicked things off." End quote. She literally doubled down on that sentiment, declaring she knows exactly how much grueling labor she invested into ensuring her anatomy is optimally restored, elevating her not just back to her baseline identity, but transforming into an entity far deadlier than the rookie who arrived last year. Game over. She believes she is somehow more lethal. Allow that profoundly horrifying revelation to permanently haunt the nightmares of every rival defensive tactician drawing up plays. Because this prodigy was already an impossible puzzle to solve when she was running on fumes, bruised to the bone, and nursing severe muscle trauma. Before, she launched 30-foot bombs when she had absolutely nothing left in the tank. Today, she announces a total, calculated evolution of her raw athletic foundation. 8 grueling months were sacrificed to the grind. She forged an iron core from scratch and anchored her foundation for maximum balance. Every microscopic movement was sharpened to guarantee her shot leaves her hands with terrifying, unstoppable velocity. This physical metamorphosis was not an accident. It was born from a fiercely tailored, punishingly brutal gauntlet of preparation. As union bosses pushed their brightest stars toward that unsanctioned off-season spectacle, that Wild West 3-on-3 cash grab that tragically shattered Aaliyah Boston's lower legs, Caitlin Clark simply walked away. She sidestepped the circus sideshows entirely, refusing to gamble her health on pointless exhibitions. She engineered her surroundings with the cold precision of an assassin. Hear the brutal, uncensored reality of her battle preparations. Pay close attention to the exact crucible she built to temper her evolved, superhuman form. She stated, "Obviously, we do a massive amount of standard drills, but honestly, sometimes you just have to hit the court and run pickup, grinding out 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 runs against the men, right? Pushing my cardio to its absolute peak without the pressure of an official, sanctioned match." Let me repeat that vital piece of audio. You just have to hit the court and run 5-on-5 against the men. Pushing the cardio to the absolute limit without entering a real match. Pause the footage immediately. Battling male athletes in full scrimmages is the pinnacle of strategic supremacy. She refused to waste her winter jogging through half-court sets with exhausted league veterans. Instead, she vanished into deep isolation, locking herself inside unforgiving arenas to sprint through full-court 5-on-5 wars against top-tier guys. If you constantly lock horns with opponents armed with natural genetic superiority in twitch reactions and sideways agility, insane jumping power, and pure overwhelming size, your brain has no choice but to evolve its entire processing speed. Every choice must happen at the speed of light. Every dribble must be an act of perfection. You have to read the floor down to the very millimeter, because a single millisecond of doubt means you lose possession. By throwing herself into this secret, hyper-intense gauntlet of fire, the legendary guard has managed to bend time, making the female professional game look like it is running in slow motion. Whenever she finally returns to the hardwood, provided the Players Association has not reduced the organization to ashes by then, rival squads will appear as if they are stuck in quicksand. She has rewired her cerebral engine to a gear those older stars simply do not possess. The sheer contrast between her and the rest of the pack is mind-blowing. Right now, the Union is a fractured, venomous wasteland. They are dangling the threat of a complete shutdown. They are crying over tax bills, waging war on their own representation, and showing the world they have zero idea how big business actually works. They walked right into a bloodbath against titans of industry who hold all the cards and all the cash. Meanwhile, the Phenom built herself an impenetrable fortress of leverage. She slipped right past the political snare. She conquered the international spotlight, inked deals with mega networks, and quietly morphed into an apex predator while nobody was looking. The old guard assumed they could weaponize her massive stardom to hold the wealthy owners hostage for a giant payday. What they failed to realize is that you cannot leash a force of nature that simply refuses to play by your rules. The terrifying March 10th cutoff is breathing down everyone's necks. Those billionaires are just sitting back, watching the clock, waiting for the players to wave the white flag. Broadcasters are eagerly standing by for the FIBA qualifiers, while our star stands under the Miami sun, gripping a ball, completely untouched by the surrounding panic. She demonstrated that ultimate dominance needs no press release. Real leverage never asks for a committee's permission. True authority comes from being the single most prized weapon in the building and refusing to let a single drop of fear show on your face. So, what is your raw, surgically precise opinion on this masterful dodge of boardroom warfare? Is the prodigy playing chess while everyone else plays checkers by staying miles away from this poisonous labor dispute? Do you think stepping onto the global court in red, white, and blue grants her the golden ticket to shrug off the looming March 10th shutdown? And perhaps the most crucial question of all, will those 8 ruthless months of secret warfare against men turn her into an unstoppable god once the actual season tips off? Leave your most vicious, uncensored breakdowns in the discussion area right beneath this. If you crave the bloody reality of high-stakes sports money, boardroom chess, and the savage politics of the athletic empire, make sure to obliterate that thumbs up and lock in your subscription with the alert chime sounding, guaranteeing you catch every intense investigation. You will find absolutely zero watered-down corporate propaganda here. Our mission is unearthing hidden advantages and infiltrating underground sparring compounds, all while decoding the chilling mental combat masked by rehearsed public statements. Stay sharp until we drop our next intense analysis.